Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I've got some fall DIYs to share with you that are budget friendly that you probably have never seen before. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Right, next one. Okay, for this one, I'm going to take 2 orange pipe cleaner and then 1 green pipe cleaner. And then you're going to take a 1/4 inch by 6 inch dowel stick. Now we're going to connect our 2 pipe cleaners together, so just twist the ends a few times until it's completely put together. Okay, then you're going to take your dowel stick and we're going to start wrapping it. So kind of wrap it. You don't have to go real tight on this. Just kind of loose-handedly do this. And then once you get towards the end where you run out of room, just push it backwards and then continue to wrap till you get to the end. And when you get to the end, just make sure that that curves all the way around that little rod. And then you're going to pull that off. And then we're going to take our green pipe cleaner. We're going to run it through all those little loops from one side to the other. Then once you get it to the other side, you're going to take it and you're going to wrap it right back through the other side, about halfway through all those little coils, and then run it out the middle. And then just pull that tight, and that creates your little pumpkin. Then you're going to pull your 2 green pipe cleaners into the center, and this is going to be for the stem. And then just wrap them a couple of times real tight right there into the center. And then kind of shape out your little pumpkin once you get that done. Just kind of make sure it is still round. And then we're going to take one of our pipe cleaners and we're going to pull it forward, make a little loop, twist it backwards once, then make another little loop, and then you're going to twist it backwards once, and keep going around until you have 4 loops evenly across the top part of your pumpkin. And keep your stem right into the center. And then you can just cut that other little piece off. Just kind of get them straightened out there where they have 4 of them equally around. And then we're going to take our stem, we're going to cut it a little bit short, and then we're just going to curl it. And you're going to take your dowel stick, wrap it around once, and then curl it over. And that's pretty much it. Look how cute that little pumpkin is. And I made a bunch more of these. You could also use these as little place settings at your Thanksgiving dinner. Next, I'm going to use one of the little crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it with some white chalk paint. And I'm going to paint the inside and the outside both with this. Next, I got these little wooden legs from Hobby Lobby. They're in the woodpile department. I think they're really called finials or something like that. And I'm just going to paint them with the white chalk paint. And then I figured out if you add just a little 1/4 inch dowel stick to the end of them, you can hold them a little bit easier while you paint them. But I'm going to paint all of them the same color white. And I'm not going to paint the part that's going to actually be glued to the crate, because we're going to use these as little legs. Okay, next, I'm going to add the words "Welcome to our pumpkin patch, open daily" to my crate. Now, I did cut these into little sections so that they could go on the crate, but I've given you this to download in the description below. You can download it and cut the SVG file out if you'd like to. But you do want to separate it because you're going to put it on each slat of the little crate. I'm just going to set that aside because I'm going to move on to the next step. Okay, next I got these little door pulls from Amazon, and I'm just going to paint these with a black chalk paint. And I'll give you the link for those, and if you don't want to paint them black, they did look really pretty just in the bronze color as well, but I am going to paint mine black. It did take about 2 coats to paint these, and I'm not going to do the back side of them. Next, I'm going to take a chip brush and some black chalk paint, and I am going to distress my crate. I'm going to go around the edges first, and then I am going to run it through the center. And again, if you don't like the distress look, skip this part, but I do like the distress look. It just gives it a little bit more farmhouse look. And then once you get all the way around the edges, just start running it through the center of your crate. And I'm not putting it real heavy, just kind of lightly putting it on here. And you want to do the inside as well. Okay, next I'm going to attach my vinyl letters. Now I am going to separate mine because I do want them to kind of be even on each one of the slats. Just separate them out because they're not exactly for that. So if you have a smooth crate or anything like that, you can leave them put together like that, but I am separating them because it's going to be a little bit easier to get them even. Next, to kind of blend them in with the crate, I'm just going to take some of the white chalk paint and I'm going to take the chip brush and kind of lightly go over them. This just kind of blends it into the crate. Next, I'm just going to attach my legs and I'm just going to put these on with hot glue. I'm not going to use E6000 glue on these. These held up pretty well just like this. Just kind of make sure that you are kind of getting them even because you're going to see them from the front. And you want to make sure that they do match. Next, I'm just going to attach my little handles. I'm just going to put some glue right around the edge and then glue this on. Now, make sure that you put your handles right side up. I ended up putting them upside down at first. I had to pull them back off. So make sure that the cup part is where you're going to pick it up with. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'm going to put my handle on exactly the same way. So I'm going to attach a piece of floral foam down to the bottom so I can attach my pumpkins. And you don't need a big piece, just a small piece. I'm just probably putting in a piece that's about a 1/2 inch thick. So I'm going to use some preserved Spanish moss in this. This is from Michael's. I would highly recommend picking some of this up because it's not as quite as messy as regular Spanish moss and the color is so pretty. But I'm going to put a pretty generous amount in here and it is clumped together pretty good. You do have to use scissors to kind of cut this. Next, attach my pumpkins. I'm going to take a piece of floral wire and I just curved the end of it. And I'm just going to cut it off short enough so it just goes right down and the pumpkin sits right on top. And then you want to bend that over so we can put that inside the pumpkin, just kind of twist it a little bit. And then we're going to glue it to the inside of our pumpkin just like that. Just kind of bend it over so it's got a flat bottom on it. And then just push it right up into your pumpkin and let that dry. And then we're just going to stick that right down into our little foam. And we're going to do all of our pumpkins like that. I think I ended up putting about 8 of those in here. But just bend your wire over so it's got a flat bottom on it just to go right up inside of that pumpkin. And then just do the same thing till you have all 8 of your pumpkins inside of your little crate. Look how cute that is. Okay, next I'm using one of the burner covers from the Dollar Tree. This is a small one and I'm going to paint it with a silver metallic paint. After that's dried, I'm going to take some white paint, black paint, and then a darker silver paint. And I'm going to try to make this look like galvanized metal. And I'm going to start with the white paint. I'm going to take my chip brush, brush off the paint onto my napkin, and then I'm going to lightly distress this. This is going to be the background for this. You want to start with this step, even though once you get it all blended in, you're not really going to see it, but you want to make sure you get this step put in here too. And then go around the edges as well. And then once you get that on, take a paper towel and then just kind of lightly go around it in circles just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Next, we're going to take some black paint and a sea sponge, and we're just going to start sponging this on. Now, you're going to sponge on a generous amount of this, and then you're going to grab a paper towel and you're going to blend this in. Just kind of go around in circles till it's blended in real well. Okay, next we're going to take the silver paint and we're going to take a paper towel and we're going to start blending this in. This is what's going to give it the galvanized look. So just take a paper towel, put it on your finger, and then just start blending it in. Just go round and round in circles until you have it blended in real well. And you're going to add quite a bit of the silver. The other is just going to kind of be in the background and the silver is going to be on top. And this actually ended up being a color called platinum. It's a metallic platinum color. And you want to add plenty of the silver to start getting the galvanized look. And then I'm putting a little bit of white in here too to blend in with the silver. And that's going to start really creating the look that we're looking for. And you're just kind of alternating with the silver and the white and just keep blending it in. The longer that you blend it in, the more galvanized look you're going to have. And you be sure and get the sides as well. Okay, to finish this out, we're going to just come in with the sea sponge and the white paint, and we're going to start really blending this all in. You're going to put quite a bit on this. Just kind of turn your wrist as you're going so you don't have the same pattern everywhere. And once you get this completely blended in, you'll see that it looks very galvanized. But you want to get it all over just to really blend this in. Okay, next I got this little Dollar Tree pumpkin. I'm going to remove the stem and I'm going to cut this in half. Now, I'm not going to cut it completely in half. Go past the opening where the hole is because you want to be able to put your stem back in. And then we're just going to cut that right off there and we're just going to use one part of this. Next, I'm going to take a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock and I'm going to cut this in 1.5 inch strips. And I'm just using a paper cutter on this so I can get them pretty straight. And I'm going to cut the whole sheet full of these. I think I ended up with 6 total when I got done. Next, I'm going to take a little scoring board and I'm going to score these at 1/2 inch each. Now, if you don't have a scoring board, you can just hand fold this. It really would look just as fine. But I'm going to do all my strips this exact same way. Next, you're going to take each one of your strips and you're just going to fold them accordion style. Okay, then I actually ended up with 6.5 strips because I messed one up when I was scoring it. Okay, next you're going to start attaching these together, so just put some glue on them. I'm using just some Tombow glue, just some white glue, and you're going to attach each one of these together all the way down. Just kind of make sure you do get the glue off and that they are folded in exactly the same way. Because you want to keep that accordion style all the way through. Next, we're going to glue this all the way around our pan. We're kind of making like a little pie. And so just kind of squeeze that together and then continue to go all the way around, trying to make it as even as you can. But you are going to use quite a bit of glue on this. Just try to match it up with the one you just glued in, and you'll have enough to go all the way around this. But do take some time to hold it in place while it dries. You want to make sure that it does stick straight out. And I think this project will work pretty good too if you have one of those crimping tools. If you don't want to sit and score this and fold it, I think the crimping tool would work good. It's not going to be as full, but it would work just as well. And then once you get to the end, you're just going to glue the two pieces together and you can just cut off what you have left over. So after I cut all this off, in reality, you probably really only needed about 5.5 strips. And you're just overlapping that one and gluing that down. Okay, next you want to add your stem back to your pumpkin. We're going to end up gluing that on here. But before we do that, we're going to take some white chalk paint and a chip brush. And we're going to distress the outside edge of our pie. So just put a little bit of paint on there, wipe most of it off. And then we're just going to kind of brush the edges to give it a little bit of depth there. This just kind of gives it a little bit more of a vintage look, and we're going to go around this twice. So lightly go around it one time, and then just turn and lightly go around it a second time. Next, I'm going to add some vinyl lettering. I've given you this in the description below. You can just download it and cut it out if you have a Cricut or some kind of a vinyl cutting machine. And I put mine all together on one little sheet so I can cut it out and put it where I want to. But on the SVG file, it actually is set up to go right onto your plate if you want to do it that way. And you can ungroup the SVG file once you get it into Cricut and then kind of do it just like this way if you want to do it that way too. I just thought it was a little bit easier this way. Next, to lay this out, I'm going to put my pumpkin right in the center. I'm going to put my pumpkin pie down at the bottom and my fresh baked right at the top. And I'm going to put my 5-cent per slice right on the right-hand side. And then I did go back in and cut out another one that said open daily for the left-hand side. Just get it lined up good and then just go ahead and put your vinyl down. And I'm just lightly laying my vinyl down just in case I need to adjust it a little bit. I'm not pushing it on yet. Just kind of make sure you have it exactly where you want it before you start pressing it down. And then I'm just going to hot glue my pumpkin right into the center. And then this was just a little bit off with just 3 pieces on here, so I did come back in and put an open daily on the left-hand side. To finish it out and give it a little bit of color, I'm taking some leaves. These are 2 leaves put together on each side. I'll give you the link for these. I got them on Amazon, but I'm gluing 2 together because they were a little bit thin, and then that way they looked a little bit more green and not more translucent. And you can put any kind of leaf you want in on here, but I definitely would add a little bit of color just because it does make it pop better. All right, and that was pretty much it with that project. Look how cute that turned out. Okay, for this next one, I'm taking some floral wire and I'm going to cut it at 4 inches in length. And I'm going to cut several of these. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to make a little loop on the bottom of each one of these. And then turn it upward, kind of like a little leg. So I'm going to take a round balloon that measures approximately 2 inches in diameter. And then I'm going to take the top and cut it off about halfway through. Okay, next you're just going to open this up with your fingers, and then you're going to use your other finger to kind of drag some polyfill on the inside of it. Now we're going to fill these up pretty full, and this is not really that hard to do. You can do this pretty easily. I had to get some more polyfill and open it back up. It's not hard to do. Just pull it with your fingers, and then just drag it in with your other fingers while you're holding it open. And you're going to get it pretty full. You want it to be big and round. And then once you get it full, just kind of knead it a little bit, kind of roll it around a little bit just to kind of get it pretty smooth. You want it to be round. Next, you're going to take your wire with the loop end in the inside and you're going to stick it down into your polyfill. And then you're going to take some embroidery floss and you're going to tie the top off. We're making a pumpkin. Now you want to make sure that you have plenty of embroidery floss because we're going to have to go around this pumpkin several times and you don't want to get to the end and be without. So cut more than you need. This stuff is not real expensive, so you can cut more and you can save it for something else. And then we're going to wrap it tightly around one time like that, come up to the top. We're going to go to the other side, go down that side, pull it tightly, wrap it around the stem, go down through the middle of those two, wrap it around the stem, and then go down the other side. You've made 8 sections there. And then just tie that off right at the top. Just kind of play with it, get it a little bit even with your fingers before you tie it off, just to make sure that it is completely dissected into even sections. Okay, then after you get it exactly where you want it, we're going to start wrapping our stem. So you're going to go around the stem several times all the way to the top part of that pumpkin or the top part of your balloon, and then go up the stem a little bit and then just tie all that off. And then we're going to cover all that up so you're not going to see it. And then cut the excess string off. Next, we're going to take some floral tape. We're going to attach it right here, and then we're going to start pleating it. So just kind of take it, pull it, pleat it like that. Just fold it over. And then we're going to glue all this in here in just a little bit, but just kind of get it pleated all the way around that stem. You're just kind of pleating it, folding it over, and continue all the way till you get to the other side, and then cut that off, and then we're going to put glue underneath it to hold it all together. And this is a sticky tape, so it does stick together pretty good. Just kind of push it down there, cut that off, and then we're going to put glue underneath it just to hold it all together. And if you need to put a little bit of glue between your pleats, do that. And then we're going to start going around our stem all the way up to the top. And you do want to pull this tightly as you're going around your stem. And then once you get to the top, we'll just glue that in. And then you may have to put just a little bit extra at the bottom just to kind of close that in completely. Just wrap that around the bottom part and then glue that together. And then we're just going to be in the top part of our stem over, and then we're just going to cut it off just a little bit. Next, I got these little leaves at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to paint these with an antique green paint. It's a chalk paint. And I'm only going to paint the top of them. And next I'm going to take some of the Tim Holtz Distressing Ink in the walnut stain color, and I'm going to go down the middle of each one of my little sections of my pumpkin. This just gives it a little bit more of a vintage look, and it looks a little bit less balloon look. And then to finish my pumpkin off, I'm just going to take a green and white checked ribbon. I'm just going to tie it around the front part, add a bow, and then I'm going to put my leaf on here. This was a pretty quick and easy project. Just going to put my leaf right there, just glue it right on. All right, and look how cute those are. You can use these for a place setting, but I'm going to actually do something different with mine. Okay, next I'm going to take this little mini colander and I'm going to paint it with a matte coffee bean paint. Okay, after that's dried, I'm going to take some of that preserved Spanish moss and I'm going to fill my colander full. And then I'm just going to add my pumpkins right to the center of it. I'm going to put 5 of them in here. All right, look how cute that looks. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it gave you some inspiration. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome. See you next time. Thanks for watching.